Hello and welcome everyone, I am Madals and welcome to another StarCraft 2 England cast. Today I have got a ladder game. It is between the red Terran player in the lower left position, EmpireKas, and in the top right, vsxD, the blue Zerg player in the top right, and therefore it is going to be a TvZ. The map is Shakura's Plateau, and yeah, it should be pretty cool. I don't remember the last time I actually cast a game on Shakura's Plateau. It has been absolutely ages, and I'm not sure if I'm imagining. No, it is still the same. For some reason I looked down here and I was like, that ramp doesn't quite look right. I don't know why I thought that. It just seemed a bit wrong. Like maybe I'm confused. I'm confused. Not gonna lie, it's been so long that I think I'm just imagining things at the moment. But whatever. Let's talk about what these two should be doing. Kas, I reckon we'll see a command center first, judging by the position of the supply depot. The only reason you build a supply depot here generally is if you're going to go command center first, otherwise you tend to wall off. There's no other real reason you do it. You can get a barracks still here, but generally speaking you don't tend to see that happen. Meanwhile, VSK, he should be going for a 15 hatch, 16 pull into 1 gas, basically pretty standard to be honest, but looks like Kas is going to prove me wrong. I'm not going to go for a command center first, instead going to go for a racks first, because why not? Why not just make the caster look silly? Because that is secretly what every pro player likes to do. It is a well-known fact that every time a caster inaccurately predicts what a pro player is going to do, a baby strokes a kitten. That is how good it is for pro players. Literally, it's insane. And every time it happens, a caster cries a little bit inside, but nonetheless, it's fine. We can cope with it. We are not meant to be 100% accurate. It'd be too suspicious, and we probably end up to go and win everything. But yes, back on topic. So far, 1 rack is down, no gas, so it's definitely going to be a command center following this up. 1 rack command center, standard metagame for Terran with the spawning pool. Hatchery already down, so everything looking fine for VSK right now, which is good news because that's what I predicted was going to happen. I do of course know Zerg far better than I know Terran, and the metagame is of course in the early stages all important. And yeah, what else can we expect following this on? The command center's down, obviously 2 gas should come out next for Kas. They'll follow up usually the factory with a reaction on the barracks, switch over. You then can get out Banshee with or without cloak. It depends on what strategy Kas is really going for, but I'm seeing more and more Terran players at the moment avoid that. It was super popular. I mean, a few months ago that was the build that you always did it. It was 1 racks command center, double gas, factory starport, Banshee with Hellions, and it just happened every game like clockwork. As with all big metagame trends, they slowly phase out. I mean, there was a point when the Ice Fisher builds, Benishiwa style, was super popular. There was the Roach Ling push from Zerg against Protoss. Again, it comes and goes, and that's what I love about the game, is that it changes all the time, and I think that makes it really interesting to watch. So I'm just taking a quick look around, seeing what else we have potentially got here. So far, not much. First 100 gas about to come out for Kas here, so there's the factory, that's all good. And yeah, remember everyone, if you do like my videos, make sure you like them, because then more people see it, and that's awesome. Make sure you leave a cool comment, because then I get to talk to you, and subscribe, so you get every game I put up. Last year in 2012, I did about 700 videos over the year, which is pretty hardcore. It's tough, and I'm going to try and at least match that next year. So by 2014, I'm aiming to have 14, well, let's be optimistic, let's say 1500 videos on my YouTube channel. That'd be a good aim. That'd be pretty hardcore. I'd like to do that. But it's going to be tough, but I'm looking forward to it. Anyway, so far we do of course have mules coming in here. They are a mining. We do have the factory there, we have the reactor coming down, so Hellions are assured now. There's a starport, so it looks like Kas is going for the pretty standard reactor Hellions into a starport. We should see a tech lab chuck down on this barracks any second. Go on, do it, thank you. This is all looking fine. Meanwhile, third base coming out for VSK, so this is really just him in response to what he scouted, which is that this base is down, and once you know that base is down, you stay a base above a Terran player, so you chalk that down ASAP. The double gas are now on their way, so actually 3 gas coming straight out, so good timings of everything, good numbers of queens out. These queens just chilling down here to make sure that Hellions can't get in too comfortably. The other advantage of having a good number of queens out earlier on, and it looks like he's going to be going up to actually 6 queens, is that these Banshee are not going to be as effective as Cass may want them to be. That's purely down to the fact that there's enough anti-air. We do have Cloak being researched as well, so we will need a Spore Crawler regardless, and judging by the number of queens coming out, it is very plausible to think that a Evolution Chamber early may not be thrown down, because you've got enough anti-air from the queens alone, so you might not be automatically jumping to the conclusion that you need a Spore Crawler unless you were relatively confident the Terran was going for Cloak. So this could cause a small problem for VSK, although he is getting up his lair now, so Overseers are going to be an option, but they're not going to be out in time, because obviously Cloak will be done in, what's that, 60 seconds? Give or take a little bit, and of course the lair won't be done for that long at least, so that basically means Cloak's already going to be an issue before the Overseer even starts morphing. Third base coming out for Cass, so doing some harassment, and quite a lot of the time you see this harassment followed up by some form of basically play of producing units, but instead Cass following it up with this third command center. I mean, it's a very good opening into mech, to be fair, because once you get this harassment going, it forces the Zerg player back for a long period of time, can delay their teching, and that allows you to get up a big mech force before it becomes a problem. But look at this, Spore Crawlers on the way down. I don't know if the Banshee was spotted by anything, but no, it couldn't have been done. That's quite surprising. I'm surprised he even saw that, but Spore Crawlers coming down somewhat blindly, 2 coming here, and, well, 1 there, and 1 up at the main base, so that is all good news. Meanwhile, the third is going to run into some problems, so when this Banshee does come back, assuming it survives, then it can just go and take pot shots at that third base without too much hassle. But there's the Spore Crawler, getting a good number of shots off, and the Banshee does just survive. 17 health, that's not much at all. But there are some positions this Banshee can utilise. I mean, it can come in here, pick up the gas quite comfortably. And also, if it could position itself around here, it would be fine as well. But it looks like it's just going to take out a couple of Zerglings for the moment. The third base is now up for Cass. He's producing SCVs, not an orbital command yet. But as we can see, the Hellions are getting shut down for the moment by these Zerglings, which are splitting nicely. Cass taking the 10 supply lead at the moment. We've got the Overseer morphing in. The Infestation Pit just finished up as well for VSK behind this. The plus 1-1 upgrades coming down for Cass. 1-1 for the Zerg player as well on the way. So both players upgrading equally. Pathogen Glands just starting, and that is an exceptionally early hive. That hive came down at what must have been just before the 10-minute mark, about 9:55, which is one of the earliest hives I think I have ever seen. That is bonkers. That is, well, bold. It's got to be going into ultras, so it's a super quick ultra play, which could open up some interesting strategies, because judging by what Cass is going at the moment, he is just going for a standard marine tank style. He's also getting out the medevacs there, so he's taking up nicely with the Infestor ultra style. This could be really strong. We've got the fourth base is gas coming up, so the 7th and 8th, that's going to give good gas income to allow VSK to control this and to support all of this income. He's got his 4th base coming down. His creep spread is lovely due to having these extra queens, which help with his defense early on. Work count wise, up to 72. Pathogen Glands nearly finished. The first Infestors haven't yet been started, but 2-2 upgrades are on their way, so all looking nice. We do, of course, have the Armory on its way here for Cass, so that will allow him to start the 2-2 upgrades himself. So he's getting a little bit behind in terms of the upgrades. The Hive now finishing, so we should see the Ultra Cavern. The reason I'm assuming it's an Ultra Cavern is just by the timing. It's a super early Hive, but also due to the fact there was no Spire. Generally, if you're going to go for a rush to Broodlords, you get the Spire at the same time as the Hive in order to start the Greater Spire straight away, because the Spire and Hive both take at the same time to build. Missile turret coming down, that's good. Predominantly that just detects hidden infestors, burrowed infestors, but look at this double drop coming down to the 4th base from Cass. His drop technique is gonna be very effective here, because there's very little in terms of defense. There's hardly any units out on the field. There's 5 Banings and 23 Zerglings, which are quite a long way away. Cancel force after its 4th, another lift up, and Cass has done enough there. Pull out, lose no units, be happy. It's literally that simple. It's a 4-step process. Double drop, force a cancel, something, profit. And that is precisely what Cass has decided to opt for. The Ultralisk Cavern is en route though, as expected. Adrenal Glands also starting super early, and I like that because Adrenal Glands such a strong upgrade. Infestors being pulled all the way down, ready to try and deal with this drop. which is nowhere near there at the moment, unfortunately. It's coming round the side. Will get detected by these overlords, so that is good news. The Zerglings can obviously start coming in order to deal with it, but seeing only the one medevac, it is going to delay it because these units are going to have to come and defend the fact that third base is under siege. The natural base is also going to get attacked at the same time. Some units already getting pulled over. Kas doesn't really matter with that too much because, well, he's got to defend this as well, and this multitasking is something which can get a lot of players out of position and out of their natural game rhythm. So very, very nice indeed. The Ultra Cabin is finished, but as we can see, no Ultras out yet, no Ultras in production. The Infestors are being forced to use an awful lot of fund growth and energy to try and clean up this drop. The medevac is still there perfectly happily. Doesn't need to get out of there though, otherwise will die very quickly as we've seen. So all in all, that does finally get cleaned up though. But overall, Kas lost a similar amount to his opponent, killed 5 workers. Looking, the work count is equal. The 4th base is en route for Kas as well, so that's taking to equal bases with vsK. And all in all, that is exactly what you want. 3 macro hatches apparently en route now for the Zerg player, because when you realise you've got too many minerals, your approach should just be to build hatcheries. That's the same approach Kas actually takes with command centres. That if you've ever seen Kas play, it's very common to see him get an absolutely absurd number of command centres. He just builds them, builds them, builds them, builds them, builds them. And late game, his strategy is just to rely purely on mules. And it works very, very well. He doesn't mind if he loses bases because he has 10 spare ones he can just float in. But look at this push coming across. The Queen's getting taken out. Army supplies wise, Kas does have a much bigger army, but the Ultra's about to pop out. Adrenal Glands is finished. The 2-2 upgrades are done. The Infestors are there. They don't have too much money though. And we do have a drop on its way up in the main base for the time being as well. So that drop in the main has forced all of the Zerg army back, giving Kas a position to move in here. He's dropping some tanks up into the high ground. Oh my goodness. This is going to be horrible to try and deal with. This is not going to be fun in the slightest. As we can see, great elevator play coming in. It's going to be awkward to try and hold. There's a tank on the low ground as well. Handful of units staying down there ready to deal with everything else. Few marauders though, so that means that dealing with Ultras isn't going to be quite as comfortable as perhaps Kas would like. But the tanks on the high ground are going to be able to do good damage to essentially everything right now. But so many infested Terrans getting thrown down. It looks like vsK is going to be able to deal with this incredibly easily with so many infested Terrans, and very cost effectively as well. That's the important thing we're seeing here, is that by using a lot of infested Terrans, it doesn't cost them anything at all to deal with it. But Kas, with wave 2 of this push already on its way over, 4 Ultras on the field at the moment. We do have Concussive Shell finishing up. Of course, does nothing against massive units, so that's always fun, but the Ultras still piling on numbers. The Zerglings piling on numbers as well. Drop coming in yet again. The Banelings happily covering that for the moment. 3-3 upgrades haven't started yet. 3-3 is half done though for Kas. That's good news, and Kas utilising this little cliff area so well. Putting tanks up here against this composition is incredible. As you can see, there's no overlords around, so there's no vision up there for Kas, which means he can't even lob infested Terrans up in order to deal with it without that vision. That's going to cause him huge problems, and it does mean Kas has got a nice little contain going on, and always a safe area to fall back to with essentially indestructible units. But what vsK is potentially doing here could be great, sliding up and through over the top to go and counterattack Kas, and that could run into Kas a lot of problems, but he doesn't even know this is coming until now. And in come all of the Zerglings from a massive wide arc angle, trying to sweep around the back, picking off the tanks as best they can, and as you can see, the Ultras doing nice damage as well, and suddenly Kas could be running into problems. But of course these reinforcements do have to be careful not to run straight through that tank line. More Ultras on the way, more Zerglings on the way. We've got a drop coming down to the 4th base of the Zerg player getting taken out, but look at this. vsK just pushing through, doing more and more damage, trying as best he can. The Zerglings cleaning up incredibly nicely, and the decision making to just go and counterattack was absolutely perfect. It was precisely what vsK needs to do with this potential contain. He is taking some damage from these tanks though, which is less than ideal. A drop also coming down to the 3rd base will get cleaned up quite comfortably, as we can see though. Meanwhile, the Ultras still running through, still more units trying to get produced. A good number of Marauders coming out, just trying their hardest to deal with all of this. We still have Ultras in the main base, trying to do damage everywhere and anywhere they can. Basically, Kas cannot micro all of this all at the same time. The Ultras towards the 3rd are being forced to pull back just due to the fact they took too much damage. More reinforcements on their way across though, and while there are 3 tanks up on the high ground, they're not doing a huge amount of damage. Will apparently pick off 1 Ultra, which you don't really want to lose units for nothing, but this push is doing so much damage, and Kas's army really starting to fall apart. Even though his production is good, his money incredibly low, so low on minerals at the moment, and that is what's hurting him. And as we can see, vsK, he's just pushing so hard. He's putting on so much aggression, so many more units on their way through. The drops have been cleared up very comfortably, and essentially Kas losing so many workers that it's going to start becoming a huge problem for him. The only plus side for him is his Marauder numbers are slowly getting up, but as quickly as they're getting up, Ultras are coming in and knocking them back down again. Ultras dealing huge damage down the back. 59, 60 workers killed now by the Zerg player, so that puts Kas down to 45 worker supply, and as we can see, vsxK still streaming more units across. The one advantage Kas does have is that his inventory is 3-3 compared to the 2-2 upgrades of vsxK's ground army, and vsxK hasn't transitioned out of this at all. He's still sticking with Broodlord and Zergling for the most part, but look at this, all of this 4th base has got cleaned up. Kas essentially now down to just 30 workers to the 53. We've got a handful of tanks and marines on their way over. The Zerglings there preemptively to deal with it. We could see some nice drop micro, but unfortunately it doesn't go down quite in time, and basically vsxK is doing a nice job of trying to defend this. The tank on their way through. The infestors do get taken out just in time, which is very nice, but look at this damage being done. Kas in serious problems. We've got more ultras on their way back, but well, as we can see, these SCV numbers, they are just dwindling to next to nothing. This main force of Kas going down so fast. Kas still with a surprising amount of army supply. It's just spread out very thinly, and that's what's causing him the problem. We've got, yeah, more production on its way down, and apparently units can't get out of this tight little choke here because there's a complete wall off. And if Kas does notice that, at this stage of the game, when you are literally holding on by a thread, you need every single marine to be ready for action. Meanwhile, this top base really helping out. I don't know, it is known to vsxK, so he can go and pick that off whenever he should want. These macro hatch helping as well. Just look at the number of lava sitting around, even though they're not being injected on pretty much any base. Only the main is getting injects right now, so no injects, but still a decent amount of lava. But look at this, Kas going for the approach of just, I'll take my entire army and just go and drop it on your head. And if the worst comes to the worst, I will simply lift my buildings and float to the corner because you don't have any anti-air. That will be problems. But it looks like it has been spotted, or it definitely has now because it's attacking. No cancer goes down there, and when you're running out of money, you don't want to be basically losing buildings without getting cancer off. All of vsxK's armies coming back. The Infestor, if it gets good fungal growth, could be massive. Is it going to do so? Is it going to get it? No is the answer for the moment, but there's a fungal growth on a lot of medevacs. Unfortunately, it's the medevacs that contain absolutely nothing, which is still not terrible. It's just not as ideal as you may want. Still, we have got Kas trying to hold on. A big counterattack coming in though. Handful of units here. The tanks aren't sieged up, and that could be a problem. This top base is looking like it's going to be the target. Even a queen wants to get in on this action and just take it out, but as we can see, Kas lifting and being like, hey, you can't attack up, can you? You made absolutely nothing, and Kas just like, oh, no, oh dear, something laggy clearly right there, so they paused, it's all good, they're going again. Kas maybe on a little bit of thinking time, being like, yes, I can just float to the edge of this map because you do not have anything here to deal with flying units, aside from infested Terrans, but good luck doing that with enough damage before I get away. Meanwhile, the double drop coming in with the Infestors! The Infestors are there! They don't get the fungal growth off though. That would have been so epic. That would have been literally the end for Kas, but Kas is still in this. He's still going. He's still maintaining it. And all in all, it's not going too badly, but some units coming down here. Some infested Terrans are getting dropped out. Is the medevac going to get taken down? No, is the answer. It survives just with 19 HP. That was pretty close. Meanwhile, obviously the third base being rebuilt. This is a pretty scrappy game right now, in the sense that neither player really has come close to maxing out, both just scrapping at each other, trying to pick off units here and there. The Zerglings coming in, still no 3-3 upgrades, might I add. These Zerglings have been 2-2 for possibly the longest period Zerglings have ever been 2-2 in their existence. The Ultras do have the extra armor upgrade though, and a big engagement coming down here. The Rainlings are rolling in, Kas trying to split as best he can, but some big hits going off, great big fungal growth. Infested Terrans getting lobbed down, but the tank line is doing all the damage that it needs. Fungal growth trying to hit all the medevacs. The medevacs are getting taken out for the moment. We do have a handful of tanks remaining. The medevac, well, the medevac can't heal the tanks up, but of course the tanks are able to kill off those ultras so fast, and well, the infestors are getting knocked out. Both players knocked under 100 supply, and without a mining base, vsxK GG's out. So that was a pretty hectic game of essentially 25 minutes, or call it 20 minutes of pure action. I hope you did enjoy it. I did. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. Make sure you like the video, leave a cool comment, and subscribe. I will catch you all tomorrow for yet another new cast. Thank you, and bye for now.